one.
Okay,
Hello,
so this is the remote learning supports for this week, January 4th to 8th. This is for the grade 3 session, and I'm Kate Allison, and we're here with Pam Gallant, who's part of the program team as well. And then we also have some virtual school teachers here, which I'll introduce in a couple slides. So welcome to our session. We're first going to start by having our land acknowledgement. And this picture was taken by Pam Gallant of her front yard. And isn't it beautiful? Thanks for sharing. We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, and Potawatomi and Delaware nations. By personally making a land acknowledgement, you are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage. Thanks for that, Pam. I'll continue to ask you for pictures.
That's good. It's always good to get out and enjoy our beautiful land. And that day it was like cotton candy on everything. It was beautiful.
It just quiets everything down, doesn't it? Usually at this time, we kind of ask our participants to field some of their questions, either through the chat or out loud. And I'm not sure if anyone here, we sort of chatted before about some other questions, but if things come up, certainly feel free to interrupt. This is not it's not overly formal. We've started our sessions this week by thinking about these 4 quadrants, thinking about being flexible this week, as we all have kind of incurred all of the internet outages and link problems. And I'm sure that's kind of something that you guys have faced more than once, right, Jess and Rhonda? Some nods there. Keeping connected, both technically and personally with your class. And then thinking about keeping the learning going as it is school still. And then we've thought about some learning from each other, right? And that's why we've included the virtual teachers here to share, and then also some other resources we thought might be useful.
So when Rhonda and Jess, you're sharing your reflections, thank you for joining us today. So you're that grade 3 contact. So it's nice when we're speaking with other grade 3 teachers, we're talking about kids of the same age. But you've come to us with experience just from September. And so I hope you give us that perspective on how you weren't perfect at the start, and you're probably still not perfect. You're working on that. So we'd love to hear your journey today.
And Jess, I wrote down that you're a 2-3, is that right?
Yes, I started out as a 3 in September, but then when we did the transition in November, I got some 2s. So I'm 2-3, and I actually am the English teacher to French immersion. So I just teach in the afternoon half time.
Right. And there are definitely more than just you who do that. Okay, so we talked for the last couple of days, this is sort of a recap of our other sessions about being flexible. I know, Rhonda, you haven't had a chance to tune in yet, but Jess was here and we kind of chatted about these things, thinking about our week with our students, just taking things slow. And I know that was a great message from you, Jess, the other day, that things are going to take longer for sure. Val was on here earlier chatting about how, you don't have as many tools in your back pocket. So it's okay to deviate from the plan. And then that your curriculum coverage is not going to be the same remotely as it is face-to-face. And that's okay, right? It's just good to know that everyone is experiencing that same thing. And that taking the time to solve tech issues, like both actual issues with the tech, I think, and then also teaching those tech skills, which is something Pam added and we've learned is something that the kids really need to know. Like we're talking about the mute button and using the chat features, and Jess was talking about how to go out of a meet and come back in the meet when your sound isn't working. And I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add to that list.
Yes.
Yeah, Rhonda, what would be the thing? I'm having a hard time hearing Rhonda. Could you speak a little louder?
Oh, sorry. That's an unusual thing for me. I've learned really early to control the mute button, or not the mute button, the chat feature. I started off the year by doing what I called a line in the chat. So I would put like the final line in the chat, and then that was kind of the visual cue to not go beyond that. Although I found some of them were, of course. So we actually, once Google gave us the opportunity to turn it off, I would just turn it off. I would turn the chat off, and I would leave it on during downtime so that they could chat with each other. But just having it turned off most of the time was probably a good.
So in the Google Meet, you can select whether they have access to the chat.
You can now. Yeah, you can.
And is
now.
that like a daily decision, or is that like a minute decision?
Yeah, and the kids actually will remind me. They'll say, "You forgot to turn off the chat. You forgot to turn off the chat."
I actually have a tip about that, because I have a co-teacher. So I have Teresa in the morning that teaches the French portion, and then I teach the afternoon. And I'll often get a text at about 9 o'clock in the morning saying, "Can you please turn on the chat?" Because I'm the control, like I created the meet, so I'm the personal controller, and so I'll have to rush and hop on and turn it on, and the kids will be like, "Oh, Mrs. McCracken's there," and I'm like, "Nope," and I'm just on and off. So yeah, I do find too, they're at that age where they just want to be silly in the chat. So I have to turn it off often, but I have a big sticky note on my desk to say, turn chat on. So I don't have to get a text at 9 and do that. So.
And so girls, that's in the host controls. Is that right?
I think actually it's, for me right now, it's just right there. Like it just, there's a little slider button that you can just slide it off.
Oh, okay. So I've never seen that because I'm always just popping into meets. Yeah. So that's maybe something. Yeah. Okay. So that's part of just whoever is in control of the meet.
It's on that left-hand side. If you're on a computer, like on the option and like the security feature, it's one of those toggle things.
Yeah, and even if you go right to the chat box, like it looks like a chat box with lines, and you click on it, and right at the top, there's the toggle that you just turn it on and off. But the only thing would be if people had prep teachers coming in or out, like I explained with Teresa in the morning, sometimes she'll go to do breakout rooms or something in the chat, and she'll have to text me and turn it on. So just remember to keep it on if you're, giving control to a prep teacher. So.
Right. Good tips.
Rhonda, you mentioned that you turn the chat on when it's like their break time, though. You often.
I do. Yeah, I do. And in the morning when I'm first on, I turn it on too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of their social time, right?
It is. Yeah. So it's just, but they know that's usually the start of our day. So it's chat is off, mics are off, and then we start. So just getting into that procedure every day, and they remind you. They tell you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, as we're on to this teach the skills part here, and I know we've kind of dwelled on that for a few minutes, but I think important for this week too. Like, how do you feel about the kids sharing their screen? Like, do you find that they do that a lot, or is that helpful to know? Or
it's getting better. At first, I didn't really. If they could do it, they could do it. And if not, I would just record their answers for them, like on a Jamboard or something. But they are now to the point where they are so comfortable using it. They know how to share their screen. So I'm getting them to do that more often. I wouldn't rush that. Just, if you've got too many other things to think about, I wouldn't really rush it. Just as soon as they're able to, once they see each other do it, then they go, oh, I can do that too.
And Rhonda, are you using Seesaw or are you using Google Classroom? What's your platform that kids are using?
Seesaw, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always a Google Classroom person, and I've really learned to love Seesaw.
Yeah. I think it's great for the age, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on here because I know we have lots of things to share. We also talked about taking lots of extra DPA breaks, and I think that happened a lot yesterday with all of the tech outages. It was like, okay, extra lunch, here we go.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I have a break every 40 minutes, and we have a little, Go Noodle is my go-to site.
Oh, okay.
Go Noodle for us too, definitely. And my kids love yoga and stretching, so they ask for yoga and stretching, so we've been doing a lot of that too. And even just on Go Noodle, they have a lot of like mindfulness, breathing, just 3-minute short things, and I tell them to get up, move their body. And
do you find too that maybe like some of your breaks are like, even though it's not sort of recess, but if you're doing a break, are they taking like a screen break for 5 minutes and going to grab a drink of water, or do you find you don't do that because they don't come back, or what are your thoughts on that?
I find it's hit or miss. I find they tend to stay on. I have some that like to use the washroom frequently, and I try to limit it, but you know, like they just say, can I go to the washroom, just like they would in class. And but no, they like the connection. You know, they've been used to being connected just virtually. They aren't out in the public, or they're not in the classroom, so they like to be connected. And like Rhonda said too, that even when I log off on my lunch break and I say, okay, everybody get up, go get healthy lunch, they'll often stay and chat, or they'll bring their lunch and they'll chat. And like, that's their connection. That's their recess.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, absolutely. Like even just get up and do like a 10-second stretch or something. You can tell when they're getting a little antsy. So yeah.
And I've seen some of them, like I have one student, he has one of those big exercise balls, and I can see him bouncing up and down on it, you know, and that's okay. Like it doesn't bother me. I mean, if they do that, you can go for it. I mean, as long as they're not.
It is the most flexible seating that we will ever have. Floor, bouncy balls, standing up.
Awesome. So, I mean, this was actually a slide that we had in yesterday, but we didn't really get to our slides about losing connection. Now what? But we kind of went over that a little bit about how, you know, if you get bumped out, you just try and get back in, and the kids are getting better at knowing where to find things. And
and sound issues, we're hearing that if you're in your Google Meet and you can't hear what's going on, you leave the meeting and come back in. Has that been a fix that really, like people say, oh, try that? Does it work?
That does. Yeah. And
my kids know, like if they're like, I had one today at the end of the day say, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I said to the kids, can you all hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. So I type in the chat and I'm doing one of these, go out, come back in. They all know, go out, come back in. And there's sometimes when I even share a video or I share a different tab and there's volume on it, that my voice gets muted somehow. So after I've shared something, then I can't have the ability to speak. So then I have to say, I've got to go out and come back in, even though they can't hear me. So it's kind of just using, you know, using your hands to show them. Yeah. And my kids know, like, it's technology, and we know the word of the year is flexibility. I told them at the beginning, like, if you can't get on, you can't get on. So yesterday with all the tech troubles, you know, I just made sure everything was in Seesaw. This is what you're doing. And I made all the activities very explicit. Like, here's the link I used. Here's the slides I used to do the lessons. So I found that I have a few students that, you know, aren't always on frequently because of medical needs. So I have the whole lesson ready in the Seesaw so they can go back in and just follow along, even though they're not getting my, you know, instruction, they can hopefully get the most out of the lesson or the activity. So
you're kind of blending that option 1, option 2.
Yeah. And then I mean, or, you know, kids have doctor's appointments or something's come up, they're not feeling well, then they can just go back and get the activity done when they have time, or they have an opportunity to look at it. So that's been working really well. And it just allows everybody to be flexible and make it work for their family. So yeah.
Okay, so that's really great. I kind of sums up sort of everything that happened yesterday, I think, with teachers too. So this other part we were thinking about is this engaging visuals, because you do have a lot of wait time, you know, with your kids. If people are in or out, or you lose and they're waiting for you to come back to finish your lesson or whatever it is. So, and then also just like as they're waiting for people to come in, I'm wondering like how much the people, how engaging do the visuals need to be? And I'm just going to skip ahead to this slide here about just having something up for them to talk about, right? If there's a ton of downtime, I think, not a ton, but there is some downtime, and you kind of have lots of opportunity to fill that in. So just have something for them to gab about. Well, you might be doing attendance, or, you know, checking with a small group or something like that. Do you find that you have things like this?
I find when we just log on in the morning, especially, I mean, I'm just chatting with them or they're chatting with each other, and they're pretty good with that. And I try to, and I start on time. I mean, I'll go into the announcements, and the announcements, the visual announcements take a while. Like we have, you know, there's the O Canada, the land acknowledgement. There's, you know, it's National Spaghetti Day today. Happy birthday! And the announcements actually take quite a long time. And
Yeah.
attendance within that sometimes, or
Sure.
and then I do a zone check-in with everybody too, and do attendance during that time. So that's usually kind of our morning meeting type of a thing. But it's nice for them to socialize too. So it's,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's that piece about getting connected, right? So you're using the camera, the voice over there to get connected, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's great. And when I do my attendance in the afternoon, I take the attendance shortly after 12:30. I've actually always done, even in my own classroom, that I have my list, how it looks on Aspen. So the first student, I say good afternoon to that first student, and I've trained, I don't want to say trained, but I've taught them to then say good afternoon to the next person, and it goes along. And so they are all interacting with each other, and they're all saying good afternoon to someone. So then the last student,
okay, yeah.
right? So like it alphabetically, good afternoon, Johnny, good afternoon, Sally, whatever. And they all know who to say good afternoon to. So as they're doing that, I'm on Aspen and I'm just going through the list and I'm marking absent. And then when they get to the last student says, good afternoon, Mrs. McCracken. So they like that. And if I don't do it, they're like, we didn't do the attendance. And I'm like, it's okay, I did it. Like, but yeah, so that's a little nice connecting piece and just kind of welcoming everybody to class. So, but like Rhonda said, I find that I just let them chat, like, you know, what did you do over the holiday? Like just real world connections. But absolutely, these are great. You know, can you find the hidden picture? Like you said, Kate, to just have like a little transition, it helps.
Or maybe even I'm thinking like over lunch, if I know some teachers show videos over lunch like they do in brick and mortar school, right? Just something for them to engage in while they're eating or talking with a friend or whatever. And this was just something I Googled. I just want to head back because there was something good on this slide here when we were talking about that tech piece for, this is like the support email, the student IT support, and that's where teachers can email that. And I don't know if this is something you can share with families too, can they, or how does that work?
So instead of the teacher having to deal with password issues and, you know, I've got a problem with the iPad, it's like the teacher doesn't have to fix that. There's a team of IT people that will work on resolving all of that. So I know a little bit about it because sometimes if there's a CSAT issue, it's gone to student IT and then they say, we don't know what's going on here. Can you help? And so I know about that, but families are to use that address. And so then you as teachers can use the time to support the learning rather than be like the help desk at Apple kind of.
I feel like I could probably have that job now. So every day there's something little, right? That
that's where share my screen comes in. It's like, oh, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, so that's super beneficial for sure.
Yeah.
Also, we have the app catalog on here. I don't know if you guys have run into too much trouble with that. I know like depending on when that device got handed out and where it's from, the app catalogs are different and if they can actually get the app on it. It may not be so much for you guys because your kids are probably set up with what they need now, but for devices that were just handed out, the app catalog is it's different. It's not the same on every device. And
I found out for one of my students that he needed to have the pandemic profile applied to the device, and that's why he wasn't seeing all the apps. So
yes,
he had to take it back to his home school and get the pandemic profile applied to it by their SysOp.
So Pam had mentioned that too, that sometimes the app, you can't update it unless it's on the network.
Yeah. So parents may simply just have to drive to their school, sit in the parking lot, connect with the school's Wi-Fi, and they'll be able to go. So not even have to go into the building. It's just
or if that device comes back to school
Yes.
next week, it might be a good idea to sort of take note of, which ones didn't have what, so that you can switch over to what you were saying, the pandemic app catalog.
Yeah.
Okay, was there anything else there, Pam, or
No,
shall
I
I
think
move
that
on?
was it. Yeah.
Okay, what time is it? 3:30. Okay,
Yeah.
I see Kelly's here too. Hi, Kelly.
Yeah.
Are you here to gather some ideas? Please feel free to interrupt us anytime, okay?
I just thought I'd join you again because even yesterday, I know it was little things, but I tried 2 of your things from yesterday, and so I appreciate it every time. So I'm just listening.
Sure,
Oh,
for sure. And I was sharing at the beginning, even though I kind of planned this, I always come away with something new.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And mine's
it's
actually
always good.
keeps like blowing.
I know.
Yeah.
This
and mine
was
was all about the just hyperlinking within the slides. That was helpful today because
awesome.
I've done that before on other things, but I didn't even think about it for my own planning. So it made my life a lot easier today to just go ahead and hyperlink everything within the slide so that my Jamboard was ready. And I felt a little more organized today, which was nice.
Yeah.
And actually,
yeah.
Kelly, oh, sorry, Pam.
I was probably going to say the same thing. Kelly, like in the session before, we had Lindsay share, and that's what she was doing. And she just talked about how clean the desktop was. It wasn't all these tabs up. It was like one slide deck, and you're linking from that slide deck over. So
now I don't know if there's a hack for this though, because then when I'm sharing my screen, it doesn't, when I go ahead and hit that hyperlink, it obviously doesn't, it shares the previous screen. So it still is a bit of a wait and a bit of a lag. I don't know if there's something I can do better.
if that's like the Google Meet or yeah,
Google Meets.
I think it's more about like keeping your, what Lindsay was saying, it's the kids weren't watching her find things in her own Google Drive folders. So like they were sitting waiting and going, where is my math sheets, or having 12 tabs open.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it just kept that cleaner. So,
And
okay.
also,
and using Jamboard for me, like I've always assigned it to the kids for them to do something on it. But
yes.
using it yesterday in the workshop to be able to for themselves, and so I did all of my stuff on it like it was my smart board. So I don't have a stylus. I'm using a Chromebook, so it doesn't look great.
Yeah,
the pictures and stuff look good, and it gave me something for sure. And I did try. I know my concern yesterday was about lunchtime, so I did try today to give them. So we're following the day schedule, so we have 40 minutes. So the first and I put up the timer, and I can tell that people love that. So I don't want to close my link because I can see even grandparents who are helping out, they'll pop in every now and then and see where the time is before they take the kids off again. So I do want to keep that going, but at the same time, I don't really want to be responsible for their conversations and all of that. So tried for the first 10 minutes, they can stay on chat, they can talk to each other. Some do, some don't. But it gives them the opportunity to do that. And then they just shut it right down. For the last 30 minutes, I said, okay, it's time for you to get away from your screen. and somewhere else or go outside if you're allowed to do that. So I found that was a nice balance today because they all went away. So
amazing. Yeah. It's so good that you found the solution that works for your school community.
At least for this week. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a win. Take it.
It is a win.
So good.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So these were some things that Steph Wood added because her significant other is a phys ed teacher, and so he found all these really great links. And I can't remember fully what she was saying, Pam, but she said
she was so this was available like OPHEA resources, and she said what clear expectations at the start, what's going to happen. And I think there were some safety guidelines, like, you're doing this at home, but use things like towels, laundry baskets, maybe a tin can kind of thing. And then the extension was, I think, if you wanted to play a game, there was a game for primary, a game for junior, and game for intermediate. It was, so it's something interesting to explore there.
Oh, I did it again.
Kate's click.
This always happens. It's because I click my forward button and then it's the same as the play button.
Yeah.
Oh.
And here was another one. This was Winter Would You Rather, and it was they were cute little short videos that you could show. I did show this one. I guess I could
Yeah,
play
I
this
think
one
it's
too.
a cute one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cute. This was 5 minutes, so not really long, but might be a cute little intro to gym class even, or, you know, a DPA break.
And I think it's that choice thing. Again, kids are selecting something they want. And so there's that chitter chatter about, you know, getting to know what they like.
That's good.
Ladies, is there a hack for, I find that when I have Google Meet running on my school laptop and I'm trying to do a video as well, I tried today to make sure it was preloaded and it ended up, it couldn't handle that and it kicked me out. And my kids get a lag. So when it has sound and video like that off of YouTube, it doesn't look that great. Is there something I can do to make that be more seamless?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had that happen.
Okay.
I feel like
Kelly,
that.
Oh, Kelly, I was going to say, so I've had this issue when I play it like a YouTube video or something like this, Brain Break,
Yep.
that I'll mute myself. So actually on my laptop, I'll mute myself.
Okay.
And then they say that they can hear it better. But then I run into the problem that when I unmute myself, I have to leave and come back in. So,
okay.
I mean, do you go with the lag or do you go with now I have to hop out real quick and come back in? So I haven't, like, I mean, I've been doing this for 4 months and I still haven't really perfected it. And
Okay.
so I don't really know if there's a right or wrong answer to that, but.
Do you open it up in the tab, like when you click?
Yeah. So I always share from a tab instead of.
Me too.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because it just works better instead of sharing your whole screen. And, but I don't know. And that could just be kids' internet, my internet, like who knows, right? So.
Like somebody mentioned if all the kids turn off their cameras, that, but
Yeah.
I didn't bother with that today. We were just doing directed drawing, so it didn't really matter. But to dance together, having a Maggie, I guess it might be fun, but.
So Rod just commented here, I recommend sharing media via link rather than streaming it through live. They play the video on their own and return once complete. So I guess it just depends. Like they like to dance together. Like if we're doing a Go Noodle or something, they like to dance together. They like to interact. And so they've just kind of gotten used to the fact that it might be a little laggy.
Slows it down, I guess.
Yeah. And I have heard that too. Same with the video. Like I have probably, I'd say about a third that keep their video on to dance because they want to show off their dance moves. And then the other 2/3 are like, nope. So maybe shutting off the video would help. Right. I don't know, but.
And it depends on the context too. If you were watching like an animal video where you're gathering information about its habitat, like then I could see share the link, you know,
yes,
everything, watch it on your own, take your little notes and come back in 5 minutes because the video is 3 minutes long, we'll come back. So it's the context. Is it about showing the video to build community, to have that break together? Or is it about a learning moment? So again, it's that decision, like what do I want to do and why do I want to do it? Like, what do I want kids to learn from it?
Yeah, I just wonder what the experts were doing.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I can just tell you my experience.
Awesome.
Let's call you the pioneers, the explorers,
the guinea pigs. Okay, I think, so this one was really cute. Here was, I forget what this is called. It's like a drawing, an art drawing. What do you guys call these?
Yeah, Art for Kids Hub. Yeah, and I think that was the one that Lindsay was saying she puts that on when she's doing attendance, because it's like they learn to draw something in 5 minutes and she can still chat with people and they're just drawing on paper, and like within 5 or 6 minutes the kids have done something, show it, and then off they go.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually I'm gonna say this here, but at the end we have a bit.ly and we're adding all of these links on that bit.ly. So if you want to write that down, it just gets constantly updated with all of this stuff. So don't feel like you need to frantically grab a pen and paper to write these websites down. So lots of little neat things, right, to keep the day going. Oh, Brent. And there they are there. Okay, and then this was a music one. For anyone who wanted to add like the arts into their week this week. I wasn't sure so much about this one, like it's called Music Play Online. So that was something different, and we didn't actually get playing through that. And I'm just looking at the time, 3:37 I have. So I'm going to keep going here, but we'll add this one to our show notes as well.
And I think too, also with the music, we think kids have to create music. A big part of the curriculum is about responding to music. So it might be an opportunity to showcase, two different styles of music. And like, what do you think? Respond to you, like, how are you feeling about this? Or like, we did some drawing this morning. Let's draw while we listen to this. And what comes through your drawings when you're listening to this music. It's not always about us having kids create music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. I'm going to go back here. Okay, so we thought we would share a few, because yesterday we sort of showed how the remote teachers sort of outline their day. And I think that was really helpful, using slides and timers and little tips and tricks for sort of how they show their screen to the kids. So today we thought we would add some content to that. And the first one I want to show you is these virtual trips. I don't know, Jess or Rhonda, if you guys do virtual trips. I feel like they were super popular in the spring.
They were big with our kindergarten crews.
That would be something I would like to do. I haven't done it yet, though.
So
I've done a few. So I teach math, science, and English to French immersion. So I don't teach the arts or social studies or phys ed. So I've found a few, like we did a Lego, like the Legoland virtual, like you're going on the Legoland ride. So we did that when we were doing structures in science. I did that before Christmas. And I know my teaching partner is booking a trip for Pioneer Village for the next week or two. So for social studies, but there are so many, like our Melissa Dent has created a wonderful Google document that has lots of virtual learning trips. So that would be a great resource to have, but they're fun. Like the kids, we were riding the ride together, and like some of them were like freaking out. So they're nice to do. And I actually have one planned for Friday. That's an Ontario virtual trip. So it doesn't really fit it. I mean, I can fit it into my curriculum, obviously, but I'm not teaching social studies. So we'll see how that goes, but there are definitely so many available trips. So
I would be interested in that Lego one. That's
yeah, I'll send you the link for sure. It actually is on Melissa's document too, but it was great. It's like you're at the amusement park. So we talked about mapping a little, even though I don't do social studies, but I mean, you can link cross-curricularly so well to math and everything. So yeah, it's great.
I just wonder, like, there's probably ones, like, you're probably looking for like a certain amount of time, right? That you don't want it to be too long, and actually linking it with your curriculum is probably sort of the hardest part of that, right? Is finding one that fits your criteria.
I usually do it on Friday afternoon, like kind of wrap up the week, and because I have them in the afternoon. So that seems to work. But yeah, they really like them. And then I just gave them the link and they could go and explore further. Like we only did a couple rides together, and then they would make a comment and say, oh, I did this ride or whatever. And yeah, it was pretty neat. So
yeah, I think there are some really great ones out there.
I was just going to say, the Toronto Zoo has a live session tomorrow at 10 a.m. I believe.
Yes, Kelly, you're right. I was just going to share that one. I saw that one came across my one of my social news feeds. And it looks to only be about 30 minutes, which I thought was great, and had some really good curriculum content. So I thought that one was really good, and it has like some worksheets. I haven't clicked on them to see what they're like, but some work that the kids could do after, which is always, it's kind of nice, right? To think about attending them and then actually learning from that. So I thought I would share that link. And then I also found this other one. This was, I just Googled, it's called weareteachers.com, and it just had a bunch of different field trips that they thought were really great. Some were already pre-recorded, and so they've just been uploaded on YouTube. So that one kind of is about gravity. And then obviously there's lots of zoo ones for sure. This one's an aquarium. This one I thought was neat. for the farm and where your food comes from. Volcanoes, which would fit in great with rocks and minerals. We just learned about that.
Yeah.
So lots of neat ones on there. So I'll add that one to our.
Mystery Science is also really good too. They have not only videos, but they have a lesson that goes with it, usually a hands-on lesson. So, and a lot of times it only requires simple materials. So that's a good 80-minute lesson.
Yeah. And they're really, they go along right with the content, right? The curriculum. So yeah, you're right. I have used those before.
Yeah.
Good. But also just thinking about, like, even though these are really great, we still are just in this for a week, we hope. And so we want to keep things simple because we don't want them to sort of extend our work into next week.
But I could see that being something that you would do face-to-face or virtual.
Yeah, that's so true.
I'd have that virtual class, and
Mm-hmm.
like the museum ones, like going around and seeing that might be, you know, your image at the start of the day might be a famous painting too, like the Scream or Mona Lisa, you know, and getting kids just even to look at that art. Maybe in grade 3, you know, you're thinking about, you know, what they're looking at, but, you know, as they progress to the grades, they need to be able to compare art and different styles. And, you know, do you like black and white, or do you like color, like all of those things? And that could be something we do face-to-face or in virtual school.
Okay, so, and also I was thinking while you were chatting there, the other one that I know of, and I know we're throwing a lot into our session here, was Explore by the Sea. And that one is, I have it as like one of my tabs on my bookmarks, and it's, you can actually register your class if you're in face-to-face, returning face-to-face, or virtual, you can do that too. And you register your class, and then you get to be one of those classes that just talks with the expert. And I think the spots are limited to like 4 or 5 spots. So yeah, and you register your class, and then you ask questions, and it's pretty neat. And they don't, there's not a ton of space, so you kind of have to be on it to register, and they're not long. So that's a really good website.
You know, and like live webcams too are little fun. Like if, when you go away for a break and just, you know, put your timer up, but we're watching like the eagle's nest and see what's happening. So like a cam on that, or.
Pam, do you think we should save this one for tomorrow?
Yeah, but we can just mention, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But
yeah,
one of the things I was really struggling about this is like, this is all great information. And yes, I'm going to get the information in a bit.ly, but there's a lot coming at me. And like, I feel like you're constantly just searching on the internet. So this is one that on Twitter, you stumble upon things, and you just like, I decided to click on this one. And this one looks like a really well-organized, like a filing cabinet of places to go. So I think this might be something we look at tomorrow, and because it's in one space rather than trolling the internet, looking for ideas. So there was lots of Google things in there, things on Jamboard I found.
So speaking of virtual trips, probably lots of those places that we were just talking about would be listed here. So there's 84 different places to look for. Yeah.
So tune in tomorrow and we'll explore.
So that'll be great. I'm going to exit out that and not talk about it anymore. And then we talked about Jamboard a little bit yesterday. So we were going to maybe go back to that, but I don't think we have time today.
Yeah.
But we're going
to like, how do I use Jamboard in my class? Like there's lots of videos on that. So, but there's that bit.ly.
All the time.
I was just going to make a comment that when you said about Twitter, Pam, and how you can find great resources for teachers, that when I knew I was going to start teaching virtually in September, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to search Facebook, because I use Facebook mostly. And I'll see if I can find a group, Ontario Grade 3 Virtual Teachers. So I couldn't find one, so I made one. And I now have 1,600 people on this group.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's crazy. I like.
So you were you're an inventor, you're an influencer, you're not a pioneer.
Well, and then I thought, because teachers are so giving and they want to share and help each other and not reinvent the wheel. So like, I'll just pop on in the evening after dinner and just check out what people are saying. And it's like people are sharing files and sharing virtual trips,
Oh, yeah.
and it's amazing. Like
Mhm,
it's,
mhm,
and
yeah.
it's, I mean, it's mostly positive. There are some, you know, like, oh, yesterday everybody was, oh my goodness, it was so chaotic with all the.
You're a safe place for people to vent. Let's just,
Yeah, but
and now
anyway,
let's
so
get back to
that's,
our-
I mean, if
Yeah.
people use Facebook, just go into your, you know, go into a search and see if you can join some teacher groups. And I mean, I was on teacher groups from before when I was teaching in a brick and mortar school, but I just find that the community of teachers are just so helpful and want to share, and yeah, so that's another tip that I thought was fun.
Yeah, that is a great tip.
Yeah.
Lots of good communities out there. And then tomorrow we've decided to join the sessions together because we have found that teachers are in the brick and mortar schools are still teaching, right? Some of their schools aren't ending until 3:15, 3:30, so it's hard to get here, right? So yeah, Rhonda, their schedule is not set up. They're just following their normal bell times and routines. Yeah.
They would have just followed like the virtual schools are doing.
well, if I'm your curriculum partner and I'm scheduled to be in there and we have phys ed at the end of the day and a little bit of music. So the day continues on. So all of that structured through. So yeah, so the timelines of how you do a virtual school is very different than what's happening in the face-to-face school. So we wanted to honor that kind of timeline. So we're smashing them all together.
And there's lots of good resources that are good for grade 3 and grade 4, right? So we might as well lump everyone together. And we thought we would add in our website, our emails here in case anyone has a specific question or would like to know more. And I think that's about it. So we are going to we obviously went through a lot of content, but we have some more tomorrow. And I'm going to stop sharing now.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jessica and Rhonda, for coming. It's always great to like hear the voices of the remote school who have, you know, gone through all the ropes and rigors.
Yeah.
And
And
Kelly,
we know it
thanks for
can be
coming.
done too. That's when we have those moments where we're like, how are we going to do this? Like, you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's
Kelly, go ahead.
nice to see who was supposed to be my partner live. Yes, my partner before her life took a whole different direction.
Oh, well, isn't that funny? Small
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, we were across the hall at the creek. Maybe again, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Yep. No worries. Thanks, Kelly.
Nice to see you,
Thank you.
Kelly.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Night, guys.